The space around the small human ship shimmered like water. Captain Zexthul watched from his command chair as 3 HFY warships dropped their cloaking fields. The alien ships were sleek and deadly, their black hulls covered in glowing, blue lines that pulsed with energy. The human vessel looked pitiful in comparison. The UES Curiosity was barely 200 meters long, with crude metal plating and primitive fusion drives that left glowing trails behind it. Zexthul had seen more advanced technology in HFY children's toys. "Target acquired, Captain," reported his weapons officer. "The human ship shows no signs of defensive systems. Their hull is made of simple steel alloys." Zexthul nodded. Intelligence reports about humans had been accurate. These creatures had only recently discovered faster-than-light travel using crude jump drives. They were centuries behind the HFY Dominion in every way. Their ships could barely cross a single star system, while HFY vessels tunneled through quantum space itself. "Open a channel," Zexthul ordered. His translator would convert his words into the simple human language. The view screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of the human ship. Zexthul expected to see panic, fear, maybe attempts to send desperate messages. Instead, he saw something that confused him. The humans were calm. A woman with short brown hair sat in the captain's chair, wearing a simple blue uniform. She looked directly at the screen and smiled. Actually smiled. "Hello there," she said in a pleasant voice. "I'm Captain Sarah Chen of the UES Curiosity. Beautiful ships you have. Are you here for first contact?" Zexthul blinked his 4 eyes in surprise. First contact? Did these primitives not understand they were being captured? "I am Captain Zexthul of the HFY Dominion," he said, trying to sound intimidating. "You have entered our territory without permission. Surrender your vessel immediately." Captain Chen nodded thoughtfully. "Oh, I see. We're sorry about that. We're just scientists conducting research. We didn't know this was your space." She turned to speak to her crew. Did anyone remember to check the territorial maps? A man with gray hair and thick glasses looked up from his station. "Sorry, Captain. I was too focused on the stellar readings. These star formations are fascinating." "No problem, Dr. Webb," Chen said, then looked back at the screen. "We surrender peacefully. Would you like to come aboard? I just made coffee." Zexthul stared at her. In his 50 years of military service, he had never encountered a species that surrendered so easily. Most fought desperately, even when faced with impossible odds. But these humans acted like they were meeting neighbors at a social gathering. "Prepare. Boarding parties," he ordered his crew. "Full security protocols." "Captain," his tactical officer said quietly, "their ship appears to be unarmed. Sensors show only research equipment and basic life support systems." "They could be hiding weapons," Zexthul replied. Humans are known for their deception, but even as he said it, he doubted his own words. The human ship was so primitive that hiding advanced weapons would be impossible. Their technology was transparent to HFY sensors. The boarding shuttle crossed the short distance between ships. Zexthul led 12 heavily armed soldiers through the human ship's simple airlock. The corridors were narrow and cramped, with exposed pipes running along the walls. Everything looked functional but basic, like something built by people who had just discovered space travel. They reached the bridge without resistance. The human crew stood with their hands visible, still looking remarkably relaxed. Captain Chen stepped forward with that same friendly smile. "Welcome aboard the Curiosity," she said. "I'm sorry the accommodations aren't very impressive. We're just a research vessel." Zexthul counted the humans. 7 crew members total. All appeared to be scientists or engineers based on their equipment and the data scrolling across their primitive screens. No soldiers, no weapons, no military bearing at all. "You will come with us," Zexthul announced. "Your ship will be examined and then destroyed." "Of course," Chen replied, "though I hope you'll be careful with our research data. We've made some interesting discoveries about quantum mechanics." Dr. Webb pushed his glasses up his nose. "Yes, particularly regarding space-time manipulation. Your ships must use some form of quantum tunneling for faster-than-light travel. The energy readings are quite remarkable." Another human, a young woman, with red hair, nodded eagerly. "The gravitational effects alone suggest technology far beyond our current understanding. How do you stabilize the quantum fields?" Zexthul found himself annoyed by their curiosity. These were prisoners, not colleagues. But their questions showed they at least understood basic physics, even if their technology was primitive. "Secure the prisoners," he ordered his soldiers. "We return to the Sovereign's Fang." The humans gathered their few personal belongings without complaint. Dr. Webb carefully packed some data tablets and what looked like calculation notebooks. The red-haired woman collected some scientific instruments. They acted like they were going on a vacation rather than being captured by an alien military force. Captain Chen was the last to leave her bridge. She took a final look around at the simple control panels and primitive displays. "Goodbye, old girl," she whispered to her ship. The transfer to the HFY flagship took only minutes. The Sovereign's Fang was a massive vessel, nearly 2 kilometers long and bristling with weapon systems. Its quantum tunneling drive could cross half the galaxy in weeks. The human ship looked like a tiny insect next to it. As they walked through the HFY ship's corridors, the humans looked around with obvious fascination. The walls were smooth and curved, made from materials that seemed to glow with their own light. Gravity generators kept everyone comfortable regardless of the ship's orientation. Energy conduits pulsed with power that could level cities. "Incredible architecture," Dr. Webb commented to his colleague. "The structural engineering must be extraordinary to maintain hull integrity at these speeds." "Look at those energy conduits," the red-haired woman replied. "The power output must be enormous. How do they contain that much energy safely?" One of the HFY guards, apparently proud of his ship, couldn't help but respond. "Quantum containment fields. Your primitive minds could never understand the complexity." "Probably not," Dr. Webb agreed cheerfully. "But it's fascinating to try. The mathematical principles must be extraordinary." They were escorted to a secure section of the ship with comfortable quarters. The rooms were larger and better equipped than anything on their own vessel. The humans seemed genuinely pleased with the accommodations. "This is very kind of you," Captain Chen told Zexthal, "much more comfortable than our cramped ship." "You are prisoners," Zexthal reminded her. "This is not hospitality." "Of course," she agreed. "But you're still being very civilized about it. Thank you." Zexthal left them under guard and returned to his bridge. The human ship had been brought aboard and technical teams were beginning their examination. Initial reports confirmed what he expected: primitive fusion technology, basic computer systems, and simple construction materials. "Sir," his science officer reported, "the human vessel appears to be exactly what they claimed. A research ship with no military capabilities. Their most advanced technology is their basic jump drive, and even that is crude compared to our systems." Zexthal nodded. The capture had been almost too easy, but easy was good. Soon they would have complete intelligence on human capabilities and the Dominion could plan accordingly. He had no idea that down in their comfortable quarters, the human crew were having a very different conversation. Dr. Webb was sketching diagrams on improvised paper, his eyes bright with excitement. "Did you see those quantum field generators?" he whispered to his colleagues. "The theoretical framework is almost identical to our models. They just brute force the engineering." "Captain," Chen smiled that same pleasant smile she had worn during their capture. "Yes," she said quietly. "Very interesting indeed." The morning cycle on the HFY ship began like any other. The human prisoners were given meals and allowed to move around their secured section under guard. Captain Chen had requested access to their ship's library, claiming she wanted to learn about HFY culture. The request was approved. What harm could primitive humans do with basic cultural information? Dr. Marcus Webb had a different request. His food synthesizer was not working properly, he claimed. Could someone show him how to fix it? The guard assigned to him, a young HFY named Vextel, was happy to demonstrate the superior alien technology. "Your human machines are so complicated," Vextel said as he opened the synthesizer panel. "Look at all these crude wires and connections. Our devices use quantum field manipulation instead." Webb nodded eagerly, pushing his glasses up his nose. "Fascinating. How do the quantum fields interact with matter at the molecular level?" Vextel enjoyed explaining. It made him feel important to teach these backward creatures. "The field generators create harmonic resonances in the quantum foam," he said proudly. "This allows us to manipulate atomic structures directly." "Remarkable," Webb said, peering closely at the field generator components. "The harmonic frequencies must be precisely calculated. What mathematical models do you use?" The guard pulled up a basic schematic on his tablet, showing the simple principles that even a human might understand. Webb studied it intently, asking innocent questions about power requirements and field stability. Meanwhile, Dr. Sarah Kim had requested medical attention. She claimed to have developed a headache from the different atmospheric composition. The medical bay was several decks away from their quarters, giving her a chance to observe more of the ship. The HFY medic was professional, but condescending. "Human physiology is so fragile. he commented while running a scanner over her head. Your species requires such specific environmental conditions. Yes, we're very limited, Kim agreed humbly. Your technology must be incredible to maintain such perfect life support throughout such a massive ship. How do you distribute power to so many systems? The medic was happy to explain the basics: power distribution networks, backup systems, main generators. He described it all while treating her minor headache. Kim listened carefully, filing away every detail. In another part of the ship, Chief Engineer Lisa Park had volunteered to help with maintenance duties. She claimed that humans enjoyed working with their hands and would appreciate the chance to be useful. The HFY maintenance chief found this amusing but allowed it. Be careful with those tools, he warned as Park examined a damaged power coupling. Human strength is insufficient for most repairs. Of course, Park said, struggling deliberately, with a simple connector. Your tools are so advanced. How do they interface with your power systems? The maintenance chief demonstrated proper technique, explaining the safety protocols and power flow management. Park watched intently, occasionally asking simple questions about energy ratings and connection types. Captain Chen had perhaps the most important job. She spent her time talking with different guards and crew members, always friendly and curious. She asked about their families, their homeworlds, their military service. The HFY found her genuinely interesting to talk to. Most alien prisoners were either terrified or hostile. Your ship is incredible, she told Commander Rathvor during one conversation. The quantum tunneling technology must take enormous amounts of energy. How do you generate that much power safely? Multiple fusion reactors feed into quantum amplifiers, Rathvor explained. The amplifiers boost the energy output by factors your human mathematics could never calculate. I'm sure you're right, Chen said. Though Dr. Webb does love mathematical challenges, he's been working on quantum theories for years. Probably completely wrong, of course. Of course, Rathvor agreed. Human science is centuries behind ours. But Chen's innocent comment had planted a seed. Later, Rathvor found himself curious about human mathematical models. How wrong could they be? He pulled up some of their research data from the captured ship's computers. What he found disturbed him. The human mathematical frameworks were not wrong. They were elegant. Some of their theoretical models described quantum mechanics in ways that were actually more sophisticated than standard HFY approaches. They simply lacked the technology to build working devices. Rathvor decided not to mention this discovery to his captain. It would only complicate things. Dr. Webb made his own discovery while examining the harmonic frequencies he had observed throughout the ship. During his conversations with various crew members, he had learned about different systems and their power signatures. The patterns were becoming clear. The HFY quantum tunneling drive worked by creating controlled tiers in space-time, but the method they used was inefficient. They generated massive amounts of energy and forced their way through quantum barriers instead of finding elegant solutions. It was like watching someone break down a door instead of finding the key. Webb shared his observations with his colleagues during their evening meal. They spoke quietly, aware that their conversations might be monitored. The engineering is impressive, he whispered, but the theory behind it is brute force. They never developed the mathematical elegance we've been working on. Kim nodded. The power distribution systems confirm it. They use 10 times more energy than they need because they don't understand optimal field harmonics. Park had reached similar conclusions about their construction methods. Their materials science is advanced, but their engineering principles are wasteful. They build everything stronger than necessary because they can't calculate precise stress loads. Captain Chen listened to her crew's observations with growing excitement. So their technology is powerful but inefficient? Exactly, Webb said. It's like they discovered gunpowder but never learned about precision engineering. They just make bigger explosions instead of better bullets. And if someone who understood precision engineering got access to their gunpowder? Chen asked. Webb's eyes gleamed behind his glasses. Then we might see some very interesting results. The conversation was interrupted by their guard bringing evening refreshments. The HFY was chatty tonight, proud to share information about their ship's capabilities. Tomorrow we will demonstrate our quantum tunnel drive, he said. Your primitive sensors will not be able to measure the forces involved, but perhaps you will appreciate the achievement. That's very kind of you, Chen replied. We're always eager to learn. After the guard left, the humans continued their quiet discussion. But now their tone was different. They were no longer just curious scientists making observations. They were engineers planning a project. We'll need access to their primary systems, Park whispered. The quantum field generators are heavily protected. Not from the inside, Webb replied. Security is designed to keep people out, not to prevent modifications once you're already in. Kim had been thinking about the ship's layout. The power distribution network we observe today, if someone understood the true mathematical relationships, they could probably reprogram the field harmonics. Probably, Webb agreed. The question is whether we could do it fast enough. Chen looked around at her crew, her friends and colleagues who had volunteered for this dangerous mission. None of them were soldiers, but all of them understood what was at stake. The Kethvar think we're primitive, she said quietly. They think our technology is crude because it looks simple. They don't understand that simple can be elegant, Webb replied. That efficiency is more advanced than brute force. They're about to learn, Chen said. Outside their quarters, the Kethvar guards continued their routine patrols, confident that 7 human scientists posed no threat to a warship that could destroy planets. The prisoners seemed perfectly content with their situation, asking innocent questions and showing proper respect for Kethvar superiority. None of the aliens noticed that the humans had stopped asking questions about how things worked. Now they were asking questions about where things were located. Dr. Webb sat in his quarters staring at a piece of improvised paper made from food packaging. On it, he had drawn diagrams that would have shocked the Kethvar if they could understand them. The mathematical equations covered every available space, connected by lines and arrows that mapped out the alien ship's quantum drive system. The breakthrough had come during his 3rd day aboard the Sovereign's Fang. While examining a small piece of metal from his confiscated toolkit, Webb had noticed something extraordinary. The metal was vibrating in harmony with the ship's quantum drive, creating tiny resonance patterns that followed mathematical principles he recognized. The Kethvar drive wasn't just similar to human theoretical models. It was practically identical. The aliens had simply stumbled onto the same quantum mechanical principles that human scientists had predicted years ago. But where humans had developed elegant mathematical solutions, the Kethvar had built massive, inefficient machines that forced their way through quantum barriers. Webb shared his discovery with Chief Engineer Park during their evening meal. They spoke in code, disguising their conversation as complaints about the food synthesizer. The flavor harmonics in this food are all wrong, Webb said, showing Park his diagrams. If someone understood the proper frequency relationships, they could adjust the quantum resonance for much better results. Park studied the equations while pretending to examine her meal. Her engineering background let her understand immediately what Webb had discovered. These frequency patterns, she whispered, they're not just theoretical anymore. Exactly. Someone gave us access to working hardware that proves our models were correct all along. Dr. Kim joined their quiet conversation, sitting down with her own tray. The medical bay computers have detailed schematics of ship systems, she reported. I managed to access basic maintenance files while the medic was distracted. She had brought her own improvised notes, written on strips of fabric from her clothing. The diagram showed power coupling locations, control system hierarchies, and most importantly, the exact positions of quantum field generators throughout the ship. The control systems are more accessible than we thought, Kim continued. They're designed for easy maintenance, not security. The Kethvar never expected anyone to understand their technology well enough to modify it. Captain Chen listened to her crew's reports while maintaining her friendly demeanor for the guards. How long would theoretical modifications take? She asked, as if discussing an academic exercise. Park had been calculating this question for hours. If someone had access to the right components and understood the mathematical principles, they could reprogram the quantum field generators in about 6 hours. That's much faster than building from scratch, Webb added. We wouldn't need to construct new hardware. We could use their existing systems as a foundation and simply optimize the field harmonics. Like tuning a musical instrument, Kim said. The instrument already exists, it just needs better tuning. Chen nodded slowly. The plan was beginning to take shape in her mind, but it would require precise timing and absolute coordination. I've requested a meeting with Captain Zexthal tomorrow, she announced quietly. I'm going to discuss surrender terms and cooperation agreements. Her crew understood immediately. The meeting would be their distraction. Dr. Webb, you'll need to be ready to access the main quantum drive chamber, Chen continued. Chief Park, can you identify the components we'll need? Park had already thought about this problem. The Kethvar store spare parts in maintenance bays throughout the ship. Their inventory system is automated. Basic tools can requisition what they need without triggering security alerts. And I've been mapping the ship's layout during my medical visits, Kim added. I know exactly where everything is located. The fourth member of their team, Communications Officer Rodriguez, had been quietly gathering his own intelligence. I've been talking with the technical crews about their computer systems, he reported. Their security protocols are designed to prevent unauthorized access, but they don't account for someone who understands the underlying mathematics better than they do. Dr. Thompson, their xenobiologist, had perhaps the strangest job. I've been studying HFY psychology and behavior patterns, she explained. I know exactly how to keep them distracted and engaged in conversation. The sixth crew member, Navigator Patel, had been observing the ship's operational schedules. The next shift change happens during the third watch tomorrow. Most of the senior staff will be off duty, and the skeleton crew will be focused on routine operations. Webb looked around at his colleagues, scientists and researchers who had volunteered for what everyone knew was a dangerous mission. None of them were soldiers, but all of them understood advanced mathematics and engineering principles that apparently exceeded even HFY knowledge. Are we really going to attempt this? He asked quietly. Captain Chen's smile was different now. Not the friendly expression she wore for their captors, but something harder and more determined. The HFY captured us because they thought we were primitive, she said. They're treating us like curious children who might learn something from watching their superior technology. They don't realize we've already learned everything we need, Park added. More than that, Webb said, excitement growing in his voice. We haven't just learned their system. We've figured out how to improve it. Our mathematical models predict efficiency gains they never imagined. Kim nodded. If we can reprogram their quantum field generators using human theoretical frameworks, we won't just match their capabilities. We'll exceed them. By how much? Chen asked. Webb had been calculating this question since his breakthrough. Conservative estimate. We could achieve 3 times their current efficiency. Optimistic estimate, 10 times. The implications hit everyone simultaneously. A drive system 10 times more efficient than current HFY technology would revolutionize space travel. Ships could cross the galaxy in days instead of months. The energy requirements would be so low that even small vessels could mount quantum drives. They'll realize what we've done eventually, Rodriguez pointed out. Yes, Chen agreed. But by then, we'll be long gone. And we'll have proof that human theoretical science is more advanced than HFY engineering. Thompson raised another concern. What if we're wrong? What if our models don't work with their hardware? Webb had considered this possibility. Then we'll be in the same situation we're in now, prisoners on an alien ship. But if we're right? If we're right, we'll have turned their own vessel into something they've never seen before, Park finished. The group fell silent, each member contemplating the risks and possibilities. They were scientists, not warriors. But they were also humans, with all the curiosity, ingenuity, and stubborn refusal to accept limitations that had carried their species to the stars. Captain Chen made the decision for all of them. We proceed tomorrow during the shift change. Dr. Webb and Chief Park will handle the quantum drive modifications. Dr. Kim and Officer Rodriguez will manage computer system access. Dr. Thompson and Navigator Patel will maintain distractions and monitor security. What about you, Captain? Webb asked. Chen's smile returned, friendly and innocent, the same expression that had fooled the HFY since their capture. I'll be having a very interesting conversation with Captain Zexthul about human cooperation and cultural exchange. As the group dispersed to their separate quarters, each member began final preparations for the next day's operation. They reviewed their improvised notes, memorized system locations, and planned their individual roles in the most audacious act of technological theft in human history. None of them slept well that night. But it wasn't fear keeping them awake. It was excitement. Tomorrow, they would show the galaxy what happened when humans got access to advanced technology and the freedom to improve it. The third watch began exactly as Navigator Patel had predicted. The HFY crew moved with the routine efficiency of people who had performed these duties thousands of times. Senior officers retired to their quarters while junior staff took their positions at key stations throughout the massive ship. Captain Chen walked calmly toward Captain Zexthul's ready room, escorted by 2 guards who had grown comfortable with their cooperative prisoner. She carried a data tablet containing what appeared to be cultural information about human society, material that would help facilitate peaceful cooperation between their species. Captain Zexthul, Chen said, with her characteristic friendly smile as she entered the alien's private office. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me. I think we have much to discuss about the future relationship between our peoples." The HFY captain gestured for her to sit. His office was impressive, with large viewports showing the stars and displays of his military achievements. He was proud of his career and enjoyed discussing HFY superiority with someone who seemed genuinely interested. "Your species shows potential," Zexthul said condescendingly. "With proper guidance, humans might eventually develop beyond your current primitive state." "That's exactly what I wanted to discuss," Chen replied, settling into her chair. "We're very eager to learn. Could you tell me more about HFY history? How did your people achieve such remarkable technological advancement?" While Chen began what would be a very long conversation about HFY civilization, her crew put their plan into motion. Dr. Webb and Chief Park moved through the ship's maintenance corridors with the confidence of people who belonged there. Webb carried legitimate maintenance orders that authorized routine inspection of quantum field generators. The orders were real. He had simply modified them using his growing understanding of HFY computer systems. "Access granted," the computer, announced as Webb's authorization codes opened a sealed hatch leading to the primary drive chamber. The quantum drive was more impressive in person than in their stolen schematics. Massive field generators lined the chamber walls, each one pulsing with barely contained energy that could tear holes in space-time itself. The mathematical precision required to control these forces was extraordinary. "It's beautiful," Park whispered, as she began unpacking her improvised tools. "Completely inefficient, but beautiful." Webb was already connecting his portable computer to the drive's control systems. The interface was more accessible than he had dared hope. HFY engineers had designed it for easy maintenance and adjustment, never imagining that someone might understand their technology well enough to reprogram it entirely. "Beginning field harmonic analysis," Webb reported quietly into his communicator. "Park, I need you to start preparing the physical modifications." Park opened her toolkit, revealing an impressive collection of components salvaged from throughout the ship. Power couplings from the medical bay, processing chips from the food synthesizers, even some hull plating that could be reshaped into field guides. The HFY inventory system had cheerfully provided everything she requisitioned for routine maintenance. Meanwhile, Dr. Kim had reached the ship's central computer core. The chamber was restricted, but her medical authorization granted access to life support monitoring systems, which happened to share the same physical location. "Rodriguez, I'm in position," she reported. "Beginning computer system integration." Communications Officer Rodriguez sat at what appeared to be a routine maintenance station, but his fingers were flying across interfaces that controlled the ship's security monitoring. "I've got the security feeds looped," he replied. "You're invisible to their sensors." Kim began the delicate process of installing human-designed software into HFY computer systems. The programs were elegant pieces of code that Rodriguez had developed during their imprisonment. Software that could translate human mathematical models into instructions the alien computers could understand. Dr. Thompson and Navigator Patel had perhaps the most challenging job. They needed to keep the HFY crew distracted without appearing suspicious. Thompson approached a group of off-duty technicians in the ship's recreational area. "Excuse me," she said with human curiosity. "I've been wondering about HFY family structures. Do you have children? What are they like?" The technicians were happy to discuss their personal lives with the friendly human. Thompson listened intently, asking follow-up questions and expressing fascination with details of HFY society. It was exactly the kind of harmless cultural exchange that the crew expected from their cooperative prisoners. Patel took a different approach. He had convinced his guard that he was feeling homesick and wanted to look at the stars. They stood at an observation deck while Patel pointed out constellations visible from human space, sharing stories about Earth's astronomy and navigation methods. "Your mathematical models for stellar navigation are quite primitive," the guard observed. "HFY computers can calculate interstellar routes instantly." "I'm sure they can," Patel agreed humbly, "though I find it interesting how different approaches can sometimes lead to unexpected solutions." Back in the drive chamber, Webb's modifications were proceeding faster than expected. The HFY control systems were responding beautifully to human mathematical models. Field harmonics that had previously required massive energy input were now operating at whisper-quiet efficiency levels. "Park, how are the hardware modifications coming?" he asked. "Better than expected," Park replied, carefully installing a redesigned field guide. "Their components are high quality, they just weren't optimized. It's like finding a race car with the engine tuned wrong." "Kim, I need the computer integration complete before we test the new harmonics. Webb continued. Almost finished, Kim responded. The translation software is installed and running. Rodriguez, can you verify the security monitoring? All clear, Rodriguez confirmed. No one's paying attention to your location. The work continued with the precision of a well-rehearsed performance. Each team member knew their role exactly, and the HFY systems were more cooperative than anyone had dared hope. Webb made the final connections to his modified field generators. Beginning harmonic resonance test, he announced. This is the moment of truth. The quantum field generators hummed to life with a sound unlike anything heard before on a HFY ship. Instead of the harsh, powerful roar of forced quantum tunneling, the drive produced what could only be described as music. Harmonic frequencies that resonated through the ship's superstructure like a perfectly tuned instrument. Power consumption. Down 60%, Park reported in amazement. Field stability up 40%. Webb, this is incredible. We're not finished yet, Webb replied, his fingers dancing across control interfaces. Kim, activate the optimization protocols. The human-designed software began fine-tuning the quantum fields with mathematical precision that no HFY engineer had ever imagined. Energy flows that had previously been brute-forced through quantum barriers now found elegant pathways through space-time itself. Field efficiency increasing, Park reported. 70% reduction in power consumption. 80%. Webb, we need to stop. Someone's going to notice these readings. But Webb was caught up in the beauty of the mathematics. Just a little more optimization. Look at these harmonic relationships. They're forming perfect mathematical progressions. Ship's quantum drive was no longer the same device the HFY had built. Using their hardware as a foundation, the humans had created something entirely new. A drive system that didn't fight against the laws of physics, but danced with them. 90% reduction in power consumption, Park whispered. Drive efficiency. Beyond anything in our theoretical models, Webb, we've done it. Webb finally stepped back from the controls, staring at the displays that showed impossible readings. They had taken HFY technology and transformed it into something that exceeded even human theoretical predictions. All teams, report status, he said into his communicator. Computer integration complete, Kim responded. All systems show green. Security monitoring nominal, Rodriguez added. No alerts triggered. Distractions maintaining successfully, Thompson reported. Crew remains focused on routine duties. Navigation systems ready, Patel confirmed. I have plotted our course home. Webb took a deep breath. Captain Chen, this is Webb. The modifications are complete. We're ready for your signal. In Captain Zexthel's ready room, Chen was just finishing an extensive discussion of HFY military history. She had listened with apparent fascination for over 2 hours while her crew worked. This has been incredibly educational, she said, standing to leave. I hope we can continue these cultural exchanges in the future. As she reached the door, Chen turned back with that same innocent smile she had worn since their capture. Oh, one more thing, Captain. You might want to check your drive efficiency readings. I think your engineers have made some improvements. The door closed behind her, leaving Zexthel momentarily puzzled. What improvements? His engineering staff hadn't reported any scheduled maintenance on the quantum drive. Chen walked calmly back toward her quarters, passing confused HFY crew, members who were staring at their displays in bewilderment. Captain Zexthel stared at his displays in growing confusion and alarm. Power consumption readings throughout his ship were showing levels that made no sense. The quantum drive was operating at 90% reduced energy usage, while somehow maintaining full operational capacity. Engineering report, he barked into his communicator. Sir, we're seeing anomalous readings from the primary drive chamber, came the confused response. Power consumption has dropped to minimal levels, but drive efficiency appears to have increased. Dramatically. That's impossible. Send a team to investigate immediately. But as Zexthel spoke those words, alarms began sounding throughout the ship, not danger alarms. System status alerts indicating that someone was accessing primary ship controls without authorization. Security to the bridge, Zexthel ordered. But even as he spoke, he realized the truth. The humans. Those innocent, primitive, cooperative humans had done something to his ship. In the drive chamber, Dr. Webb was making final adjustments to his revolutionary modifications. The quantum field generators were operating with such elegant efficiency that the mathematical beauty of their harmonic resonance was almost overwhelming. Webb, we need to move, Chief Park urged. Security teams are responding faster than expected. Just one more calibration, Webb replied, fine-tuning the field harmonics. I want to show them what their technology is really capable of. The HFY security team that arrived at the drive chamber expected to find sabotage or crude attempts at destruction. Instead, they found two humans working with tools and components that clearly belonged to their own ship, making modifications that their instruments showed were somehow improving system performance. Stop what you are doing, the security chief ordered, raising his weapon. Webb looked up from his work with genuine enthusiasm. Oh, perfect timing. Could you help me understand something about your power coupling design? The energy flow patterns suggest you could achieve even better efficiency with some minor adjustments. The security chief blinked his 4 eyes in confusion. These prisoners were asking for engineering advice while apparently committing sabotage that was making his ship work better. Step away from the controls, he ordered, but his voice lacked conviction. Of course, Webb said cheerfully, though you might want to look at these readings first. Your quantum field generators are now operating at optimal mathematical efficiency. The harmonic relationships we've established should provide at least 10 times your previous performance capabilities. Park was packing up their improvised tools with the calm efficiency of someone finishing a successful project. We've left complete documentation of all modifications, she added helpfully. Your engineers should be able to maintain the new configurations without any problems. The security team found themselves in an unprecedented situation. The prisoners had apparently improved their ship's most critical system and were offering to explain how they had done it. Meanwhile, on the bridge, Captain Zexthul was receiving reports that made even less sense than the drive chamber situation. Sir, the computer systems are operating with improved efficiency as well, his technical officer reported. Response times are faster, processing power has increased, and energy consumption is down across all networks. How is this possible? Zexthul demanded. Unknown, sir. The modifications appear to use our existing hardware, but with completely different operational parameters. Our computers are somehow running software that we didn't install and don't recognize, but it's making everything work better. Communications Officer Rodriguez had finished his work in the computer core and was walking calmly back toward his quarters when he encountered a group of increasingly agitated HFY technicians. You, one of them called out. What have you done to our systems? Rodriguez paused and adjusted his uniform with the careful precision of someone who had just completed an important job. We've installed some optimization software that should improve your computational efficiency by approximately 400%. The algorithms are based on human mathematical models that handle parallel processing more elegantly than your current systems. That's impossible. Human computer science is decades behind ours. Yes, that's what everyone keeps saying, Rodriguez replied with a friendly smile. Though you might want to run some performance benchmarks, I think you'll find the results interesting. The reports flooding into Zexthul's bridge painted an impossible picture. Every system the humans had accessed was now operating with improvements that exceeded HFY engineering capabilities. Power efficiency was up, processing speed was improved, and overall ship performance was beyond anything his people had achieved. Find Captain Chen, he ordered. Bring her to the bridge immediately. But Captain Chen was already on her way, walking through corridors filled with confused and increasingly respectful HFY crew members. Word was spreading throughout the ship that the human prisoners had somehow improved systems that HFY engineers had spent decades perfecting. She arrived on the bridge to find Zexthul staring at displays that showed his ship operating at performance levels he had never imagined possible. What have you done? He demanded. Chen looked around at the bridge displays with apparent interest. We've made some minor improvements to your ship's efficiency. Nothing dramatic, just applied some human theoretical models to optimize your existing technology. Improvements? Your primitive science couldn't possibly understand our quantum mechanics. Chen's smile was different now. Not the friendly, innocent expression she had worn during their capture, but something that combined genuine respect with quiet confidence. Captain Zexthul, your people have built remarkable technology. Your quantum field generators, your power systems, your computational networks, all of it represents extraordinary engineering achievement. Zexthul felt a cold suspicion growing in his mind. But you built it all using brute force approaches when elegant solutions were available. You discovered how to tunnel through quantum space by generating massive amounts of energy and forcing your way through barriers. We simply found the mathematical keys that let you open the doors instead. As if to demonstrate her point, the ship's quantum drive engaged with a sound unlike anything ever heard on a HFY vessel. Instead of the thunderous roar of forced space-time manipulation, The drive produced harmonious resonance frequencies that seemed to sing through the ship's superstructure. The Sovereign's fang didn't just jump through quantum space. It flowed through it like water, finding the most efficient path downhill. The ship moved with grace and precision that made their previous quantum tunneling look clumsy and wasteful. Impossible, Zexthul whispered, watching his displays show movement through quantum space that violated every principle of Kethvar physics. Not impossible, Chen corrected gently. Just different. Your people achieved quantum tunneling through superior engineering. We achieved quantum dancing through superior mathematics. The demonstration continued as Dr. Webb's modifications revealed their full capabilities. The ship could stop, reverse, and change direction while in quantum space, maneuvers that Kethvar science declared theoretically impossible. The drive could operate continuously without the cooling cycles that limited traditional quantum tunneling. Most remarkably, it could do all of this while consuming a fraction of the energy that previous systems required. How? Zexthul asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Your people are excellent engineers, Chen replied. You build things that work and you build them to last. But you never developed the mathematical frameworks that describe optimal solutions. You found ways to achieve faster than light travel, but you never found the most efficient ways. She gestured to the displays showing impossible performance readings. We didn't invent new technology. We just tuned yours to operate at theoretical maximum efficiency, instead of brute force levels. Zexthul slowly realized the implications of what he was seeing. If humans could take Kethvar technology and improve it so dramatically, what did that say about their respective civilizations? Your species, he said slowly, is not primitive. No, Chen agreed. We're just young. We haven't built the hardware, yet because we only recently gained access to the necessary materials and examples. But we've spent decades developing the theoretical frameworks that describe how everything should work. And now that you have access to working hardware, now we can build devices that operate at theoretical maximum efficiency instead of just building devices that work, Chen finished. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. The Kethvar Dominion's technological superiority was based on having developed faster than light travel first. But if humans could take that technology and improve it dramatically within hours of gaining access, Captain Chen, Zexthul said, formally, I believe we need to discuss the future relationship between our peoples. I'd be happy to, Chen replied. Though I should mention that we'll be leaving soon. We've completed our research and we're eager to return home. Leaving? In what ship? Chen's smile returned to its earlier innocent friendliness. In this one, actually. We've made some modifications that should get us home much faster than our original vessel could manage. This is a Kethvar warship. You cannot simply take it.